we shall begin with the invocation, invoking those lords into our hearts and mind. Om Śrī Ganeshāya Namaha. Om Śrī Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Śrī Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Ganānaṁ Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavīnām Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajyam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunavannuti Bisidha Sadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Bhirvajini Vati Dhinam Vitrayavatu. Om Sam Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Samasta Jan Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. My humble pranams to one and all. Harihi Om. In our lives, most of us, almost all of us, we do things because it gives us some happiness. It gives us some kind of peace. It brings us a sense of satisfaction. Therefore, we meet those kind of people, we interact with those kind of things, we do those activities which are conducive to our liking, isn't it? I doubt there is anybody who is doing things because it is troubling that person. It is difficult to have that kind of a feeling. And this is universal thought. So we were discussing previously also what is dharma. Dharma means this. What is conducive? But there could be something which is conducive for me, it may not be conducive to you. or it may be conducive for us, but somebody else it may not be. And this is where we call it as a confusion between what is dharma and dharma. Not adharma, which is wrong in the world, and dharma, which is to be done. In the Bhagavad Gītā, later chapters, Bhagavān Śrī Kṛṣṇa explains this to Arjuna. He says that there are three kinds of things that you can, do so that you feel conducive. The first one is called tamasic or asuri, whereby you trouble others and you gain happiness. You feel nice. You do something wrong against the rule of the law and you feel very good. You feel, I've done something. And you revolt against everything that is going on in the world and you feel, this is the way of living because I feel good. And you feel good. It is the same good feeling, the feeling of fulfillment that you get. But Shastra or Bhagavad Gītā says it is a tamasic or asurik vritti. Vritti means a thought process. Then in the same breath, Bhagavan says, but there is another kind also, whereby that person doesn't want to trouble anybody else, but he or she wants things good for oneself. That I should be hale and hearty, strong and mighty, bank balance should be good, wife and kids should be happy, car, petrol tank, diesel tank should be filled. When we feel like going somewhere, self-start kiya, nikal gaye. Happiness is all over that I want. I don't want to trouble anybody. This kind of vritti is called rajasic vritti, all called as deva vritti, where you do things for your benefit, me and mine. We know this kind of people. Raise your hand. We are this kind of people. But there is a third kind also, they have said, which stems from sattva vritti or sattva pradhan. To these kind of people, until and unless they serve others, they help others, they give something somebody requires, even if they have to deprive themselves from it, but they would only feel happy or feel contented when they help others. This is a third kind of vritti. But please keep it in the mind, all three vrittis are giving what? Happiness, satisfaction. Naturally, a teenager will say, but this is the problem, with Shastra. They never say it is one, there are three. What is better? What is not? So the answer to this question is, you decide. Shastra says this. After speaking to Arjuna for 18 chapters, we are not speaking 18 chapters. We are speaking of one particular chapter, only 18 verses. And how many weeks it has taken? 18 chapters he finishes, Bhagwan, and says, now I have given you the right knowledge. Now, hey Partha, you decide what you feel conducive. So there is no force, no compulsion. But this thing we can say, Shastra says, that asuri is, or tamasic is related to the body. Oh, so the body is tamasic, asuri. Why? I am not saying this. Shastra has explained to us how did this physical body come into manifestation. What are the things that are going through which are making this body? So there is a process which is called as panchikarna, which we could have used. The process of from unmanifested Panchamahabhut, 5 elements, great elements. They are made of 3 things, sattva, raja and tama. And out of the tama aspect of each of the 5, Panchamahabhut, 5 elements. The essence of those coming together has made this body. Therefore, it is known as tama-pradhan. It is nothing to take negative or positive. It is what it is. This body is tama-pradhan. Therefore, when we sneeze, what do we remove? Tama. When we do sauj, what do we do? When we sweat, what do we do? When we clean our eyes, what do we do? This body only emits filth. It only emits that. Your mouth also smells. Your ear also smells. Because it is made up of that. Therefore, similarly, what is the second aspect made up of? The Raja 5 Mahabhut, the Raja aspect of it has been taken, and then the mind intellect has been created. Therefore, the Tama, the body, is slightly grosser than the mind intellect. The mind intellect is subtler. So this everyone knows. Gross, say better, is subtler. Right? But Sattva is pure Sattva. That is known as the Karana Sharira. This is Annamaya Kosha or the Sthula Sharira, the gross body. The mind intellect is the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. And there is another body which is called as Karana Sharira. That is pure Sattva. Therefore, these 3 different kinds are there. Now you choose what you want to choose. Whether you want to choose the first type, troubling others, you will get the same happiness. You want to choose the second type, serving yourself and your loved ones, it will give you the same happiness. Or choose the third one. What is that? Serving others. It will give you the same happiness. So what does it mean? What should we do? The choice is yours. What you connect with. What is your prakriti? What is your innate nature? See, we are using the words for the first 2 as asuri or danav, tamasic. The second one, what did I use? Rajasic and daivik. So, devata and danav. You choose. For example, in the same kula, there were 3 brothers. First name was eldest Ravana. He was Mahabuddhi. Why? He was a Mahapandit. He knew a lot of knowledge. And he knew exactly when he was doing correct and when he was doing wrong. Nobody else had to tell him. But what did he choose? He chose to be with his vritti. That my pravritti is asuri. I don't want to change my pravritti. Even so, what if Ram Bhagwan is Raghuram Bhagwan, but I am Rakshas? I will behave the way I want. Because that is how my pravritti is. So he remained like that. But in the same kula, there was another brother, Kumbhakarna. What did he choose? He said to his brother, you are wrong. But you know what? My pravritti is that I should always serve my brother. So it does not matter if you are doing wrong, if I am killed, no problem. But I will serve you, serving others. Same kula. And in the same kula, there was a third brother, Vibhishana. What did he choose? He chose to serve his brother by telling him the truth. By telling him, showing him the mirror that, oh my dear brother, I love you, I serve you. By showing you the truth that you are doing wrong. But I choose to be sattva. Therefore, I go to Bhagwan Shri Ram in his sharana. So all 3 got their own feelings. But what did they choose? According to their prakriti. This is the end word of Bhagavad Gītā. You know what is the end word of Bhagavad Gītā? Mama. But what is the first word of Bhagavad Gītā? Dharma. Dharma, now I explain to you what it is. What is the last word? Mama. Mama means mine. So you choose what is your dharma. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gītā. अरे कहाँ चले गए ये थोड़ी देर में चले जाते हैं अच्छा That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Look at Bhagwan's pose. Left hand is on the shoulder of Partha. Partha is Arjun. And who's Arjun over here? Imagine, he is there, he is touching us. But watch his other hand. What is that? Jnanamudraya Krishnaya. This is the ego. You see? This is the ego standing upright. And this is the self, consciousness. Far away from all three. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our journey is only from this ego to the self. And this is exactly what had happened to Arjuna. What had happened? He had got confused between what kind of thoughts he should entertain. He got confused between serving dharma and serving his own happiness. Because he realized that his happiness is with his swajana, his own family members. And when he saw on the battlefield that everyone over there was his cousin, either his uncle, auntie, his brother, or grandfather. And he knew that if he takes up to war, he was the best amongst best. He will annihilate everyone. But his own happiness remained in their living. So how could he do that? He became personal. He became personal. There's a very beautiful word, personal. But there is a slightly more harsher or more direct word to personal. What is that? He became a little selfish. And in that selfishness, also there was selflessness. He just dropped his own Gandiva and said to, Hey Krishna, I will not fight, even if they kill me without any weapons. You see, in his mind, he is doing what? The second kind of dharma. The third kind of dharma. Benefit for yourself and serving his own community members. And this is the exact time when he got so involved with his own selfish attitude of becoming happy and remaining happy, yoga and kshema. So beautiful two words. Yoga means to gain something, to become happy. And kshema means to remain happy, to maintain it. So we don't only earn money. What do? We preserve money. We don't only have our children's born. What do? We take care of them. Up till when? Till we die. And this is exactly what they call as mama. The last word of Bhagavad Gītā. Mama. We are tied up in this mamatva. Mamata. We have to rise from mamata to samata. From individualism to equilibrium. And this is what exactly Krishna did to Arjuna. He gave him this vision that, hey Partha, that there is a particular thought process of some people, some men, which is called sthita-prajña. Sthita, steady. Prajña, wisdom. Man of perfect, steady wisdom. Individual of perfect, steady wisdom. And Arjun was wanting to have something like that. Because one, he didn't want to fight. Second, he wanted happiness and peace for himself and for all people also. So he thought this is the best thing that Krishna is going to explain to me. So he immediately jumped onto it like we would do also. Because we are intelligent beings. We are educated people. We always understand what is gross and what is subtle. Gross is good, but subtle is better. And subtlest is the best. Therefore, he chose for the subtlest. And he asked and inquired, hey Krishna, how does this man of perfection talk to people? How does he sit? How does he move around? Remember all these things we have spoken before? And Krishna, like a mastermind, like a person who has understood this concept of how he has to take that confused mind first out of confusion, and out of confusion then showing the path beyond. Because if a person's mind is confused, you tell them anything, the greatest of knowledge, they will never acknowledge it. Why? Because the confusion is so big. So what did Krishna first explain to him? That the person who has his indriyas, beti, how many indriyas we spoke about? 5 plus 5, 10 indriyas. The person who has all these 10 indriyas under control, especially the first 5, the jnana indriyas, from which we gain knowledge, where our external knowledge comes to us, those indriyas should be controlled. And what example he had given? That how should you control? Like a tortoise. At the first instance of any danger, what does a tortoise do? Instantly he gets his indriyas back. Because the contact point with the world is by the eyes, nose, tongue, ears and skin. The moment you feel this kind of fear, you must pull it inside. And the person who can do that is called sthita-prajña. Then he goes further and says, yeah, it is not possible that all the time human beings keep their indriyas inside. Because otherwise in this world you will not be able to live only. You will become like a stone. Therefore, what you should do, you should connect your mind to higher. What is higher? To me. And when you have connected the mind to me, then those desires inside you which prop up without asking, without you inquiring. You don't inquire that I want this desire, the desire just arises. When you see something in front of you, you may think, because I saw, I felt the desire, right? Isn't it? But it is not true. Why? The example was given. A small child, mother and father were taken to a mall. As soon as they entered the mall, the child saw toys. And what happened to the boy? I want toys, I want toys, I want toys. The toys are the same. What were the parents doing? It's okay, bete, no problem, beta. We will get you later. If you buy it now, we'll have to carry it. No? So we'll buy it later. What did the parents do? Did they get excited? The child got excited. Why? The toy is the same. Only the child is getting excited. Why? Because the vasana, the desire for the toy is only in the child. So objects being the same, it affects you because of that vasana inside. Until and unless that vasana goes, it will not go. Because the next stop when they went, they saw beautiful saris, and the mother said, "Ayyo, what lovely saris, I have no doubt I have got so many saris, but this sari I don't have." But the father and the son were looking around. What to do about it? How to tell her not to take sari? If we tell her not to take sari, she will be upset. So the father says, okay, do one thing. You select only one. And she is happy. Why does the father and the child doesn't get any excitement out of the sari shop? Same reason, vasana. And you don't think the gentleman is not like that. The next stop when they see the next shop was a beautiful shirt. And he says, wife, do you remember? When was the last time I asked you anything? याद करो. एक वो दिन था जब मैंने ब्याह किया और 30 साल हो गए मैंने कुछ मांगा आपसे. He gives all the reasons. Why? Because he wants that shirt, which the identical shirt he has at home. But what to do? This is BOSS, boss ka shirt. The shirt does not trouble the child or the mother. It only instigates the father. Why? Same reason, vasana. So Bhagavān Krishna says, how to tame the vasana? It is untamable. So what to do? Connect your mind to me. When you connect your mind to me, within also those troubles will not come to you. The outside indriyas have to be controlled and the mind connected. Such an individual is called sthita-prajña. How beautiful. So simple. How to live in the world? Not to get overexcited, not to get dejected. Do what is necessary, what is not required, let it pass. Watch it, enjoy it, but don't get infatuated by it. This is a very important thing which Bhagavad Gītā tells you. That so long as you have this me and mine, your dharma will never be fulfilled. That's why first word he said dharma, and the last word he said mama. Those who had heard the talk that we had spoken, a lot of examples were given. A particular example was given that if these 5 indriyas, suppose 4 are controlled but 1 is left alone, even that 1 indriya will take you from left to right, right to left. It will make a havoc of your life. Even one small desire in your mind, what does it do? Remember the ladder of fall. That first is only a thought of something. What a beautiful thought. The second thought is, I wish I have it. So first thought is just an admiration. Second, I wish I had it. Third, once that ladder starts moving downwards, slowly, slowly you become infatuated with that this I must have, because if I don't have this, without this I will not be happy. My life is unfulfilled if I don't gain this. Slowly what happens is, that gain that is there, if you don't get it, your mind becomes corrupted with sadness. What is sadness and what is happiness? Happiness is that what you do, what you get is happiness. What is sadness? What you want and you don't have. I'm not only talking about things. I'm talking about your thought also. If you want to say something and if I tell you, stop it, don't speak, and sadness comes to you, think about it. ये तो physical talking हो गया, even thoughts. Sometimes you want to think of something and you block the thought very strongly and sadness comes to you. Because how much ever you try to suppress something in your life, suppression will never give you happiness. Suppression's direct result is sadness. And this slowly will get you what? Your mind will get completely overwhelmed with that. How does a mind get overwhelmed? Anybody can give me an idea how does a mind get overwhelmed? समय का अभाव है इसलिए मैं ही आपको पूछ लेता हूँ. Please pay attention to my word carefully. Okay? Everyone, even the new person. Please don't think of a fish. Possible? Not possible. Why? The moment the word fish came, a fish came. We are all vegetarian, most of us, but still fish came in our mind. This is the problem with the mind. It gets overwhelmed. And at that time when it is overwhelmed, it cannot have any discrimination. Means what? Your intellect fails you. What is the job of the intellect? To choose from what the mind is saying or doing, what is right and what is wrong. What is correct, what is not. What should be done and what should be not. And once this intellect loses this capacity, what happens is buddhi-nāśa. And according to Bhagavad Gītā, the moment your discrimination capacity goes away, it becomes jiva pranashyati. You are destroyed. Therefore, the worst kind of harm you can give somebody is by giving wrong knowledge or half knowledge. Because it confuses the intellect and the intellect gets destroyed. Pranashyati. This was the ladder of fall. But he always said, okay, the ladder of fall is just for you to be aware. Then he gave the examples of how you can control it and how you can remain on the path by connecting within. And therefore, the word that you can see on the board, tasmad mahabāho. What you should do, he reiterates the first sentence. What he had said in the first sentence, that nigrihitani sarvashah. From all sides, your indriyas should be controlled. Indriyarni indriyarthebhyasya prajña pratishtita. Those whose mind is controlled. How? By controlling the sense organs. Such persons, prajña is pratishtita. This is where the last thing that we had spoken. He has already explained everything. But there is one more problem of indriya. I started speaking exactly 28 minutes ago. And the intellect has this problem. Slowly, like a battery, it starts getting dull, dim, slowly. And it is not your problem or my problem, it is universal problem. It was the problem of Arjuna also. And as I already said, Krishna was a master teacher. In schools also this happens. Children get dull, after lunch time. They are sitting in front of the teacher and then... So teacher is also smart. They say, children, look up, look down, look left, look right. Now clap. Now say ha ha. And suddenly what happens? Children get revived. And then say, stand up, sit down, stand up. Now run to the bathroom. Do what you want to do and come back slowly. Now Arjun ko to he could not say that. Na? Krishna could not say this to Arjun. And neither can I tell it to you. Stand up and go to the bathroom and come. So what? The great Kavya. Krishna, what did he say? He said something which to a logical mind cannot be logic. What he says? Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagarti bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. Suddenly he gives a shock treatment to the mind. What he says? You know what, Arjun? Ya nisha sarva bhutani. That which is the night time for everyone is the time to wake up for a man of perfection. What? Yes. When every one of us sleep in the night, those people who are awake in the night doing night life, they are men of perfection. Suddenly everyone says, what? Does my Guru really say that? Does it make sense? He doesn't stop there. He says further, and yasyam jagarti bhutani. When every one of us are awake, like you and me, and that time he sleeps. So what does he do the day long? He sleeps. And who are these people? Men of perfection. So Arjuna also shakes himself. What? Isn't it a shock treatment? Isn't it a beautiful way of waking your intellect up? By telling you something apparently so contradictory that you have to wake up and ask the question, excuse me, I cannot accept this. Why? Because I don't believe what you say is correct. Now he explains, Gurudev explains, what does it actually mean? When I say Gurudev means you know, right? Swami Chinmayananda. Whatever I say, whatever I do is because we've learned through them, through him. Then it is said, Ya nisha sarva bhutan. For us, what is night? Night means what generally? Bright or dark? Dark. Darkness is synonymous to ignorance. Ignorance is synonymous to those people who are not self-realized. So those who are not self-realized, I'll say like this, those who are not self-realized, for us, the day is also night. Why? Because we are still in ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of self. But for the man of perfection, even when everyone else around them is ignorant, he is awake. So therefore, the night over here represents ignorance. Now it makes sense? And when Jagarati Bhutani, even what we think we are awake, but we are only awake to these three states of awareness. What is that? Jagrata, Swapna, Shushupti. In English, the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. We are not aware of anything else. But that Mahapurush who has gone through and reached that highest post is, when we are awake, we think, he realizes that yet it is all ignorance. Suddenly the man who was listening wakes up, and now that he is awakened, Krishna tells him something extraordinary. He says, Apuryamanam achalam pratishtham samudramāpah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kāmayam pravishanti sarve sashantim apnoti na kāma kāmi. Incredible knowledge. We say that science, modern science has just 100, 200 years before, 150 years before, recognized so many things. And before that, the world was ignorant of all these things, like gravity, like what we call as the law of balance liquid. Liquid always finds its balance. And then Archimedes' principle. What is Archimedes' principle? If there is a cup which is brim full of liquid, if you put even one more drop of water or liquid, it will go inside and that same amount of water will fall off. Leave alone liquid. If you put ice, ice is in a solid form in the beginning. That amount of water will fall off, but ice slowly will melt and it will again become brimful. Unbelievable. But this is the Archimedes principle. But Bhagavān is saying something else. Because this principle does not apply in the real world outside. What does he say? Apuryamanam machalam pratishtha. What? Samudra. The oceans of the world are brimful always. कभी आपने देखा है समर में ओशन खाली हो गया? नहीं देखा ना? Summer ho ya winter ho ya any time, ocean is brimful. And every single day, morning to night, night to morning, the rivers of the world are flowing inside. Whether it is Ganga, Yamuna, Jamuna, Brahmaputra, Godavari, anyone, or Thames, or Nile, or our Rhine, or Argao. What is it? Arao. Are. Yes. Any river. Ultimately, they go to the ocean, but the ocean never overflows. How come? Archimedes' principle says one drop, it will fall. But here never happens. That is because the largeness, the vastness of the ocean is so big that day and night these waters are coming, but still it doesn't disturb. And the depth of the ocean is so much that we as human beings still are finding what is the deepest point. So, in the same way, what he says, Tadvat, how beautiful is Sanskrit. Yadvat as Tadvat, that's how. Tadvat kāmāya pravishanti sarve. In this same way, in the world of desires, things, and attractions and infatuations, they also reach to the man of perfection. But it doesn't trouble him. Why? Because he is like Samudraman. He is like the ocean. He is not a little heart, a little mind, a little ego. Okay, only me and my wife. He is like the Samudra. Vishal. His heart has opened up to become one with all. And therefore, all these things come into him, her, it, but they don't trouble him. Just like the ocean. What a beautiful analogy. This is the examples which motivated Arjuna to reach that state. These are the examples which motivates us to experience that state of being. Furthermore, he says, Vihaya kāmānya sarvān pumāmscharati nispruhaha nirmamoha nirahankaraha sashantim adhigacchati. Vihaya kāmān sarvān. Therefore, when we reach to a state, we reach in a stage where all the kāma, all the desires in your mind have done what? Dried up. Oh, so if all the desires in our mind have dried up, then we become what kind of a person? A person who's like a stone? No. What he does? He has dried it up. But what is he doing? Pumsam means a person, a man, a human. He is moving around. He is charati. Nispruhaha. What is spruha? Spruha means that which moves. When we see something, we get excited. When we see something bad, we get dejected. In him, in that person, this kind of feelings don't arise. Why? Because he sees all the three, sattva, raja and tama, as what? As the same which has come from Maya. Maya has bought all this. You and me are made up of that. Everything in the world is made up of that. Then how can that person who has reached the highest state, means he has become one with the self, dislike anything? So for such a person, there is no likes and there is no dislike. Therefore, nirmamoha means me and mine. Without having this feeling of me and mine, what does he achieve? Sashanti. Adhigacchati. Gacchati means goes or reaches. Where that point where there is sashanti. Shanti to we know. What is sashanti? Eternal bliss. Sa stands for samyak. Remember, थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने कहा, individualism and equilibrium. That is the word. That you reach an equilibrium of your mind, whereby your mind becomes so relaxed and peaceful that whatever it does not disturb the peace. We get so distracted and disturbed in a drop of a hat. But that, once you reach that position, nothing happens. Arjuna's problem was what? What was his main problem? Dvand. What was his main problem? Internal conflict. Dvand, that is the exact translation. What was Arjuna's problem? He got disturbed. He got disturbed in his mind. The moment clean water, clean, शुद्ध पानी, उस पे आप हल्के से टच कीजिए, just touch it lightly. What happens? Ripples come. Can you see through? Impossible. This is exactly what had happened to Arjuna. Arjuna was not a fool. He was of his time the highest educated person, both intellectually and physically. He was the greatest warrior, not only a warrior, a commander-in-chief of the greatest army that time. The Bharatas, the Kuru Vansha were the best amongst best. So not anybody, what is it called? Era Gera Nattu Khera can become that. But at that moment, suddenly his mind got disturbed. And that one who can control his mind and keep it at equilibrium, such a person is called sthita-prajña. This is the reason why we have spoken these 18 verses to you all. Why Bhagavān suddenly, although Bhagavad Gītā chapter number 2 is supposed to be an introduction for all the other chapters. You cannot compare Bhagavad Gītā with any other text in the world, including the Upanishads. Bhagavad Gītā itself is a Upanishad. It is called Gītā Upanishad. But this Upanishad is such where it gives you all the possible ideas of reaching that goal, depending on your pravritti and your prakriti. If you are from Asurita, no problem. You can't change it because it is just inborn to you. But from there also you can reach. How? Example was the third brother, Vibhishan. From any point of view you can read. Therefore, what does he speak about it? Karma Yoga. Then he speaks about Jnana Yoga. And then he speaks about Bhakti Yoga. He speaks of everything. What ultimately he reaches is saying that this, what I am giving you, is called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga does not mean that whatever you want you do and that becomes your Karma Yoga. What Karma Yoga stands for is one, to do what your Swadharma is. If I am a doctor, I should do the work that a doctor is supposed to do, not what an engineer. I can guide the engineer, I can suggest to the engineer, I can say things, but I cannot be an engineer, I cannot do the engineer's job. Even if the engineer's job is higher than the doctor's job. If I am a teacher, I must do my swadharma. What is that? To teach. This is the key message which Bhagavad Gītā gives as Karma Yoga part 1. What is Karma Yoga part 2? That whatever you do, whether you are a doctor, engineer or a teacher, what to do? Yes. What to do? What is that? You should offer it to the Lord. Brahmarpanam brahmahavihi brahmagna brahmanahutam brahmaivatena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. The person who has this attitude of offering everything to the Lord, undoubtedly, the mantra says, that individual, that person will reach the highest. What is the highest? Brahman. Consciousness becomes one, merged. He says then, the last verse, Esha Brahmi Stitif Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitva Syamanta Kalepi Brahma Nirvana Mruchati. Don't have any doubt. In the last verse he says, don't have any doubt. What doubt? That suppose with all my focus and everything I reach that stage at this time only. Is it not possible? Is it not possible? It's possible. When he says it is possible, anything is possible. But so many more years are there left to live. What will happen if all these years I again become confused and again all this knowledge comes? Do you think Arjuna didn't get confused after Bhagavad Gītā? In the war itself, he got so much confused. Why did Krishna had to break his vow? Because Arjuna was not really once again fully aware. He was not ready to attack in a fatal manner to his own grandsire Pitamaha. And Pitamaha was determined that day that today I will finish half the army of the Kauravas. If one day only half the army is finished, what will happen? Everything will get over. And Krishna was explaining this to him, but he was not ready to understand. He understood it, but he was not able to do it. So Krishna broke his own vow that I will not lift any weapon. He lifted a weapon and went to kill or finish Pitama Bhishma. Why we get confused? What will happen to us if we get confused again? So what is the answer given before? Connect yourself to the Lord. Because what confuses us is not the real world outside. It is the feelings inside, the bhavanas, the unwanted thoughts that come. Tell me people, yes or no? We wake up with such a beautiful thought and in 30 seconds a ridiculous thought comes to us. We sleep after listening to some extraordinary music like that day we heard. We were transported from one place to another. By the time we go to the car, it is gone. So where is the real issue? Understanding where lies the true problem is the understanding of these 18 verses. So what he says, Esha Brahmi Sthiti, that Sthiti which is called Brahmi means the ultimate place of being. Means what? The individual consciousness, remember how the pose was? The individual consciousness merges into the supreme consciousness. All these rivers that I gave you name, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari, Thames, etc., etc. Can you show me once it goes into this ocean, which is which? No. Why? Once your consciousness, individual consciousness is merged with the supreme consciousness, there is no mama, there is no mine or my. What is only left? Dharma. And that's what he says, that this Brahmi Sthiti, once you reach, what is the last word? Brahma Nirvana. Gruchati. Nirvana. What is the meaning of Nirvana? Moksha. Okay. Any word? Nirvana. Liberation. Sorry? No. Yeah. Sorry? Self-realized, yes. Anyone else? Salvation, yes. Varna means what, Amma? Thoughts. Right? Nirvana means what? What is no thoughts? Correct? But did you know this? You knew emptiness. Emptiness of thoughts, not emptiness of self. Please understand this. Knowing something and understanding something is a big difference, Amma. The room is empty. Nonsense! The room is always filled with space. There is no emptiness ever. Because we are Atma. We are consciousness. Emptiness is just a thought. But what it says is nirvana, without any thoughts. Try to be without thoughts for 5 seconds and you will feel that consciousness. And what is he saying? That this is Brahmi Sthiti. He is not saying you should be thoughtless human being. He is saying there should be no thoughts. Therefore, he ends it with such a beautiful statement. Every chapter of Bhagavad Gītā ends with this kind of a statement. Naturally, Krishna, when he was giving Bhagavad Gītā, he was not stopping at every verse end and every chapter end and he was saying this. This particular verse has been put by great Mahatmas much later to explain to us, to have this segregation. What it says, Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gītāsu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Śrī Kṛṣṇa Arjuna Samvade Samkhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyo Adhyayah. Samkhya Yoga. So in the knowledge tree, which we have many a time shown, you will see a particular part of knowledge which is called Samkhya. But here it is not referring to that Samkhya. Here it is literally meaning the word Samkhya. Samkhya refers to numbers, means chronology. In this particular chapter, if you see, we have not heard the whole chapter. No? We've only read the 18 verses, last 8. But when you see that, in a chronological order, Bhagavān takes one yoga, then other yoga, then other yoga, means one kind of a path, then another path, then another path, in a very chronological. Therefore, this particular entire adhyaya, the whole verse, the whole chapter is called as an introduction to the rest of the 17 chapters. Therefore, it is called Samkhya Yoga. But what is this entire knowledge about? Brahma Vidya. What is Brahma Vidya? Knowledge of the self. And before that, what does it say? Srimad Bhagavad Gītā Upanishad. So Gita, Upanishad. Upanishads are very unique. The term Upanishads can be only used to something which is not human origin, which comes from Vedas, which is apaurushya. In the very beginning, first session, हमने ये समझाया था आपको, apaurushya क्या होता है, what it is. But then, how are they calling Gita as Upanishad? No, because who is giving Upanishad? Krishna. What are we immediately putting Krishna to? As Lord. Not as the being as Krishna. Not Krishna, the cousin brother of Arjuna. Not Krishna, the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. No. What? The Ishwar himself. Just like Vedas and Upanishads have come from apaurushya, Bhagavān himself was giving there. Therefore, it is apaurushya. That's why it is called Upanishad. We must know these things. Because people may ask us, why is it called Upanishad when Upanishad is supposed to be apaurushya? Krishna was a Purush. He was standing there and speaking. So no, it is apaurushya because Krishna was not a Purusha. At least at that moment when he was giving this, he had completely relinquished the body, mind and intellect. And from the highest point of view, he was speaking. And therefore, what was it? Śrī Kṛṣṇa and Arjun Samvad. See, it is a Samvad. What is a Samvad, we said? Yes. There is another word called Vivad. Yes. And then there is another word called Anuvad. We take it. So the Samvad should turn into Anuvad, never Vivad. These are the subtler things. You will not read this anywhere. It is not written in any books. It is the Gurus, when they speak, they give this direct knowledge. This is direct knowledge. And then we understand why. Because if at the end of such knowledge we get into Vivad, then the entire exercise gone to waste. Ramayana ended how? By Lakshmanji requesting Ravana the knowledge. That is called a beautiful end of a war. Not by plundering and killing others, not looting. How did Mahabharata end? By all of us getting Vishnu Sahasranam and the knowledge of Pitamaha. So this is why it is called a Samvad. And Dvitiya Adhyaya, because you know why it is. Bhagavad Gītā. Going further at the chapter number 10. By this time, Arjuna was completely, totally and absolutely awestruck by things that he had said. And he was confirmed that Krishna is no just a human being. Therefore, he asks forgiveness in Bhagavad Gītā. I must have, from childhood, I ate with you, sat with you, kicked you sometimes. I may have called you, Gavala. It was an insult. It's an insult to be called Gavala. Hey Prabhu, please forgive me. But if you, in your greatness and kindness and the all Vishnu Tattva, if you show me what you are, and there he gives this Vishwarupa, Virata Swarupa. Incredible. I mean, listening to it myself, my hair is all coming up. It must have been something. Discussing Vishwadarshan, yes. Yeah, 10, 11, in 10 he explains and 11 he shows. Yeah. Vibhuti Yoga is the 10th where he explains to him and he gets completely awed and he says, please, if you don't mind, it is actually like that. If you translate the words, Bhagwan, I know it is troubling you, but if you don't mind, if only you can, who else can do Bhagwan, Please, if you don't mind, please show me your Rupa. It is so beautifully done. It shows, how a receiving student should be. It is incredible. Bhagavad Gītā is incredible. We were speaking of the Pancha Mahakosha today. So these are personality layers. It can be explained in either Panchakosha or 3 avasthas. It's clear, right? Big enough? Yeah. So we were speaking, I wish the child was there. Food sheath, vital air sheath, mental sheath, intellectual sheath, and on the right hand side if you see, the bliss sheath. I didn't have space to put it there. So I can, if somebody is good at computer and thing, so if you can get that things in smaller letters, please help me in doing that. And right on the top is Om. Om is what? Pure consciousness. What is our goal? That. How did we come to be the Annamaya Kosha? By the Panchikarana of the 5 elements of the tamas. The gross, yes. Then comes the vital air sheath. Then comes the mental sheath. So, food sheath and vital air sheath, they come together. On the left hand side, if you see, it is said gross sheath. Then moving up, mental sheath and intellectual sheath is coming together as the subtle sheath, subtle body. And then when you go slightly up on the right hand side is the bliss sheath, on the left hand side is causal body, Karana Sharira. This particular Karana Sharira, causal body, I have explained in my previous talks on Tattva Bodha. If anyone is interested in knowing this, the detail is there, or as they have suggested already, in the further bodhics, we can take these small things. Why is it important to know all this. No, it is not important. But if a curious mind is there, curiosity is like a pin. It pricks you. Till the time you don't remove that pin, that prick does not go. So for some people it may be necessary. So therefore this has been given. On the left hand side there is more details. If you see on this side, microcosm and macrocosm, as you were saying, Vishwa, Taijasya and Prajña, Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara. These are very subtle concepts of Vedanta, which we need to take separately and speak about. There was this beautiful thing that Swami Chinmayananda has said. You can imagine it is typewritten. So how old it must be? It was very old. We felt that if we show this and we understand this, it will make us from a student to a sadhak. There is a gulf between being a student. A student may feel it's privilege to study. It's my right. But a sadhaka does not feel it like that. He feels it's his dharma to study. Dharma means it is his duty. This is a huge difference. Once you reach to abode of the master, all your rights should be thrown away. Why? The moment you fulfill your dharma, your right is done. But the moment you claim your right, you are trampling upon somebody else's right. And that's what it says. Introspection, detection, negation. Don't stop negation par. So many times we will see, we'll stop at nothingness. There is something beyond nothing. What is that? You substitute that to that nothingness. And important is, when you enter this abode, come as a sadhaka. Only when you come as a sadhaka, you will be able to benefit. The real message is the message of Gurudev. We have spoken about this so many times, but have understanding that we are a combination of body, mind and intellect. Under the body is perceiver ke niche is object. So we read it in this way, that the body is the perceiver of objects. In the center, if you see, the mind is the feeler of emotions. Because mind is separate than intellect. And what is intellect? Intellect is the thinker of thoughts. Mind you that last one once again. Intellect is the thinker of thoughts. It is not the producer of thoughts. So where does the thought come? Upar dekhiye. V for vasana. So next time onwards V karenge to victory nahi bolenge. We will call it as vasana. Vasana se ye sab aate hain. And therefore, it is impossible for us to handle vasanas. Why? Because it is beyond the body, mind and intellect. So BMI and beyond jab hum baat karte hain, which we are going to speak about later on, that's what we mean about. So we have to understand the core issue. Where is the problem coming from? That is vasana. And to sublimate, not to suppress. As I told the child, how much ever you suppress whatever that you have, what will it do? It will rebound more. So what to do? Sublimate. What is sublimate? Ka example, thousands of rivers moving into the ocean and becoming ocean. There is no individuality left. And once your self has reached the supreme consciousness, you become what we call as Om. I am so thankful to Bhagavān that this got completed, because believe me, it was a very important aspect in my life to have speaking on Bhagavad Gītā, and this is the first ever time I spoke on Bhagavad Gītā in all my life of education and sadhaka. Years ago, 13, 14 years ago, so many people had asked us to speak on Bhagavad Gītā, and we were not ready. Not because the knowledge was not there, but the knowledge was not fructified. As I said a few minutes ago, the worst thing that you can do is put a wrong knowledge to somebody. And it took us around 13 years to complete this, And what happens for the best, because Rashri was unwell. So we had to leave everything in the middle and go. And you know whom I met over there? I met my Pujya Guruji. And he touched my head and I looked at him. He was sitting on the chair, I was down below. And I looked at him and I said, Guruji, tikde amala khub kai karaycha hai. We have to do a lot many things over there. He looked at me and he said, already you're doing so much? And I said, really? Yeah. That is enough. I looked at him and I said, really, that is enough? He said, yes, that is enough. And it changed my conception completely. What I had to do, I am doing. What else in life do you need? And who is sanctioning this? Your own master. To y'all, that photo must be just a bearded old man. But to us, he is Bhagavān himself. For us, he is Paramatma, or he is Brahman in the human form. Just like for millions of us, what Krishna stands for. We never look at Krishna as a human being. We play with him, we have a little Bala Krishna. We do so many funny things with him, but we know who he is. So this knowing is the key. As the photo says, Hari Om with joint palms, may I ask forgiveness of one and all. I am not perfect. I am not even close to perfect. But what my Guru taught me, I made a humble effort to give it to all of you. I pray that something of it clicks the right button and you may move in the same path as we are. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahmakarma Samadhina. Hari Om to one and all.